Just as
You're
curious.
welcome.
Well, he was free. We were gonna cut your time down.
Listen to gas aggregation instead of me.
Actually.
Is there a difference?
And we're live.
Okay, welcome to the August 8th Village of Shawnee Hills Council meeting. For all that can, please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gates. Here. LaRosa.
Here.
Matney. Here. Thatcher.
Here.
Zimmerman.
Here.
Eisner is absent.
Okay. Approval of the minutes from the July 25th meeting. Anyone with anything on page 1?
Yes. Third sentence, under solicitor, instead of B, it says, I'm helping to work through some of the issues that came to be, it should be me. That could be.
All right. Anything else? Page 2?
Yes, the last paragraph under village administrator on page 2. Bloom, Shawnee Hills in bloom, the bloom should be capitalized.
All right, page 3?
Yes. Sorry, Shirley. I believe it's the third sentence. The jet in my conversations with them is a lot more than the 91 cents. It's just 0.91, so either you need to drop the period and put 91 cents, spell that out, or keep the period and add a dollar sign. All right.
All right, page 4? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from July 25th?
So moved.
Second.
Gates.
Yes.
LaRosa.
Yes.
Matney.
Yes.
Thatcher.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as written? Do we need to change the agenda for anything with the agenda? Nothing with the agenda.
That's up to council, and I talked to I forwarded you had the compensation agreement, and I forwarded information that they're looking to get that done by the end of the month, so
Okay.
you could amend it to include it now, to have a reading now and a reading at the end of the month. You don't have to include it now, just one reading at the end of the month. I mean, it's completely up to you, but I mean, the powers that be would like that
By the end of the month.
by the end of the month.
Can we solve it?
That.
Can we have a discussion? We can still discuss it tonight, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, do I have a approval of the agenda as written?
So moved.
Second.
Gates.
Yes.
LaRosa.
Yes.
Matney.
Yes.
Thatcher.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Mr. Shakespeare?
Evening, council. I report, sounding like a broken record at this point because I've been working on zoning related matters. We're on to homes, still just working on various issues related to the PUD application, the plat, underlying 1936 plat, just those issues, working through them, getting ready really for the next meeting that we'll be having. Worked a bit on Shawnee Station. There's a right of way that they're going to, I believe they want to have vacated, has to do with a parking lot on the backside of the building. I would anticipate an application, or a petition, I should say, because that's what the revised code calls it, a petition to vacate that sometime in the near future. Depending on if they can have all the abutting property owners sign the petition, will be determinative of whether or not we have to advertise notice of vacating it, or we can bypass that notice, 6-week notice provision too, by the way. So I guess more to come on that. And then finally, the Berlin Business Park, segueing what we talked about before. I had sent to council an updated version of the agreement. Again, the updated version just removed the Delaware, Delaware County from it. I think it was Delaware County, yeah.
It's county.
I know the Delaware County Finance Authority is still part of it, and then Concord and Berlin Township. The rest of that agreement is the same as you had before. I did get word on the map The map itself is the same. The updated version that I sent you is, they merely corrected some of the parcel numbers. I think were incorrect on the list. But the map itself, if that's what you looked at, is still the same as it was before. The word I got from Delaware County Finance Authority's attorney is that townships and the authority would like to have the compensation agreement agreed to by everyone by the end of this month. So I prepared a resolution today, so you can at least see it's just authorizing Russ to sign that agreement and then anything else that may pop up related just to that agreement. But whether or not there's actually businesses in place that want to enter the business park, I'm not really sure about that just because I don't know that type of information, but I know they are looking to get that in place. I would assume the next step after that would actually be some sort of JED agreement like the one we had at Evans Farm where it sets out the JED board and all those things. But again, the first domino in that line will be the compensation agreement to kind of tie in the distributions of the gross and net revenues, because that will always be the same for any of the future JED agreements that are entered into up there. So we'll wait to see how that eventually plays out. But again, that's the first piece of it. And that's all I have tonight.
Any questions for Brian on that? All right, do you want to have a couple while you're standing there?
Sure.
Do you guys want to discuss any questions with the JED agreement now?
So you said this piece of it is just the financial agreement. It's not the JED itself. The JED itself is to come later. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Like I had mentioned before, like the compensation agreement we're having with Berlin, the Berlin Business Park is really one piece of what was the larger JED agreement for Evans Farm. I mean, if you think the Evans Farm JED was like, say it was 15 pages, 3 of those pages was like the compensation part. That is all this is right now for the Berlin Business Park, because they just have,
They just have identified parcels. They don't have.
yeah, they want to identify, they just want to then identify the fact that income tax will be collected and how the distributions will take place to kind of lay that as a foundation for one or more JEDs that will be laid onto those parcels as they come online, if you will.
Yeah, so this.
So that compensation agreement could be in effect for multiple JEDs possibly in there,
Correct.
right?
It
Okay.
will be in effect for all the JEDs, whether that's 1 or 5 or whatever the number is. That compensation agreement will be in place through its term, and I think it was like 50 some years off the top of my head, I don't remember, but it was a long
It's
time.
something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So which would be the idea, that's how long those JEDs would be in place too. So yeah, that piece of it will never change. And quite honestly, the JED agreements will probably look fairly similar as they go forward, as they start to develop all that property.
How, this compensation piece, is it similar to the one we already have in place?
I need to find similar. I mean, it was somewhat similar. I mean, if you just look at the percentages, they are different. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I mean, they're not exactly the same. I mean, the piece for us are just the 2 important pieces for the village. I mean, you have the income tax plus an additional 1%, so you can pay RETA. And so pay for RETA for its services. And then I think it was like 3.5%. When you get all the way down to the net revenues, I think it was 3.5% to the village. That is, I mean, that's a lot less than the Evans Farm. But the thinking with respect to Berlin Park, they believe it'll be much bigger. There'll be, the pie will be bigger. So 3% in theory should be larger than 10% of Evans Farm because you'll have more money to divide up is the thinking, or at least that's what I've been told. But yeah, I mean, there's some nuances to how those monies are laid out or will be distributed,
But if there's 3 JEDs, then there's 3.5% of each of those.
absolutely. Yes.
So if it layers and then there's a JED and then 3 or 4 JEDs, that's our increase more than the number of JEDs than the dollar amount initially.
Correct. Yeah. And that's
Lower percentage, but
Right,
more
lower percentage.
potential.
Lower percentage, higher and higher.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Massively much.
Wow, we
Yeah.
don't have any pie in Evans right now.
Well, 90%.
98.
We can almost. we can
We're up to
buy
98
8
now.
pie.
Right, we could almost buy a piece of pie, but yeah, the idea is that pie will be larger, so the percentage, even though it's a smaller percentage, will be greater. And there's ideas that there will be multiple JEDs. And right now, I mean, the village is the income tax partner for those JEDs, so that's not a bad position to be in.
Any other questions for Brian?
And I think I'll add on to that, at the point where we're at with this agreement and conversing with the county and Berlin, this is a take it or leave it kind of deal. They don't want a negotiation back and forth. It's either we take it and we agree to it, or they're gonna move on to another municipality.
I think they're gonna charge 2%, right? It's a 2%, where Evans Farm is only a 1% income tax.
That is correct. It'll be the
So
full,
that-
yeah,
Our
it'll be-
percentage
Um,
is higher.
so yeah, so you're right, you'll have an extra 1% of income tax, because it'll be 2% plus an additional 1% for Rita, because Rita would charge us that 1% collection of the
Rita
total.
charges 3%. I read it, they haven't worded it right, but I can't remember the numbers.
Okay.
All right, any other questions on that?
Oh yeah, it says 3% for Rita. That's the top line, it does say that.
All right, Brian, thank you very much.
All right,
All right, Russ,
Start talking now. Paving contract, the $89,000 amount was the lowest bid. Columbus Paving or Columbus Asphalt has done a lot of our paving in the past. That was the lowest bid that we hope we accept today. We can move forward and get it done. I don't have a time frame of when they're going to start. So there's that. Any questions on the paving contract?
Where are we paving?
I don't have that list. I know Cayuga, there's some streets with some major issues. Cayuga was one that stands out. Cherokee, I believe there's a couple spots that stand out. Buckeye and the Circle, it's been a huge issue. We're not touching Shawnee Trail in that whole corridor there by Equity. We're gonna let them finish up. I don't remember the list.
Are you doing all paving or are you doing repairs?
Paving and repairs.
Both, okay, gotcha, cool.
So we got that. You can see the fence by the municipal building, but we have to move the generator because it's the exhaust is blowing in the window. The company that came out to service said that we put it in the wrong spot, so the generator will be moved inside the fence. Hides our trash cans and cleans it up out here. And if you walk up and down Dublin Road, you'll see between Logan and Mohican, we added the railing for safety because it drops off pretty significantly there. That's done. We were the additional flower pots for the light poles up and down Dublin Road. We're not gonna put those in until fall because I think they're looking to do some fall decorations, so we have that. We had our first meeting today with the Growing Vibrant Communities Event Committee. They're looking at tackling trick or treat and Christmas in the village, going in some events and making it a little bit more fun and open for families. And then the JED, I mean, pretty much everything Brian covered, I've worked on between the JED and zoning. Rhonda, 3 words I don't want to hear for the rest of the week, but I did get an email from Jay Sell, who was going to attend via Zoom that now can't. He said basically he wanted me to relay to you folks that they're still waiting on the market to come down. It's still too volatile before we enter a new aggregation agreement. So he'll come in as soon as he can.
all right, any questions? All right, thank you, Russ. All right, any visitors tonight? All right, communications, I actually only have a couple things here. First, Morpsey is going to recognize us at their next meeting for our Sustainable 2050. We passed legislation on that. And then the other item I had, at some point, and this is a developing story, at some point, we're kind of taking a pull, the folks on the river, the watershed issue with Columbus. They've talked with some people, trying to get some assistance from the county, and going to have something resembling a town hall meeting. So they're trying to nail down the date and time, and see when everyone is available. So more to come on that, but obviously that's a developing story that they've been working on for 20 years. Which is true. I mean, it has been. So that is everything I have.
I do not have anything for pro tem.
All right, committee reports.
UST met tonight. We talked about options for storage. The maintenance is overflowing. They're looking at some options for sheds. different ways to do it, different sizes and placement and things like that. Russ is going to bring back a couple more options after discussing it in the committee. He had a sample of a road sign. We kind of like it. We'd like to see, he's got another option for one that's a little fancier. It says Village of Shawnee Hills with a scallop thing on the top. So we told him to go ahead and get that one so we could compare it. And of course, then we talked about paving. And the signs go for the road signs, and we would end up getting new poles and everything with that. But samples are coming before we make a decision. And that's it on UST.
Anyone else? No. All right, legislative actions. We have a first reading, resolution 09-2022, a resolution authorizing and directing the village administrator and fiscal officer to accept the bid of and enter into a contract with Columbus Asphalt Paving, Inc. for the Village of Shawnee Hills 2022 paving project and declare an emergency. All right, so we obviously just talked about the paving. So do I have a motion to suspend the second and third reading and declare resolution 09-2022 an emergency?
So moved.
Second.
Gates,
Yes.
LaRosa,
Yes.
Shawnee,
Yes.
Stecker,
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to adopt resolution 09-2022?
So moved.
Second.
Gates,
Yes.
LaRosa,
Yes.
Shawnee,
Yes.
Stecker,
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
The approval of bills, I assume we've looked at those. Do I have a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $152,869.67?
So moved.
Second.
Gates,
Yes.
LaRosa,
Yes.
Shawnee,
Yes.
Stecker,
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
All right, treasurer's report?
Okay, general fund, $316,319.98. Street fund, $438,954. State highway, $26,956.61. PD body armor, $2,753.48. Continuing professional training, $2,535.48. This farm JED, 91 cents. Drug law enforcement, $534.41. Indigent drivers, $385.84. Law enforcement trust, $7,818.04. American Rescue Plan, $63,418.14. Enforcement education, $1,245.85. Fire fund, $62,700.08. TIF, $78,693.46. TIF 2, $27,718.52. Police District Fund, $190,988.57. Veterans Memorial, $248.97. Sewer operating, $17,037.29. Sewer replacement, $13,036.08. Storm sewer, $11,697.89. Debt service, $58,650.05 for a total of $1,320,749.20.
Motion to adopt the treasurer's report is written.
So moved.
Second.
Steve?
Yes.
LaRosa?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Stecker?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Any miscellaneous business? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?